I'd like to make an envelope out of this craft cardstock from Paper Tray Ink to go with this little card that I made. My card obviously is long and narrow, and the narrowest envelope that the post office will send is 3.5 inches. My card's just about 3, a little bit less than 3. So I am going to make my envelope 3.5 inches wide, and I'm going to make it 7.25 inches long to fit this card. This one didn't have anything quite that size, so I will use the Martha Stewart scoreboard to make the envelope. And the way to make this envelope, first of all, I need to calculate the size cardstock to cut. The finished width of the envelope, as I said, is 3.5 inches. So the cut width, I'm going to take the width, 3.5, double it, and add 1 inch for turning. And so I'll need to cut the paper, as I have, 8 inches wide. Then for the length of the envelope, I'm doing a 7.25 inch envelope. So I'm going to add 2.5 inches to that. That'll be 1.5 inches at the top and 1 inch at the bottom. This is going to open on the end. So I have 8 inches wide, and then I have already cut my paper 9.75 inches long. And where I'll score the envelope is I'm going to score it at the width of the envelope, 3.5 inches. And then I'm going to score it another 3.5 inches over, which would be 7. And that leaves that 1 inch for turning here on the side. Okay. Now in the other direction, remember I'm leaving 1.5 inches at the top. So I'll score at the 1.5 inch mark. And I'm going over this several times because it's pretty heavy paper. And then I need to come back 1 inch from the end, and that in this case is going to be 8.75 inches. So it'll leave me a 7.25 inch body for the envelope. Okay, we'll move the scoreboard out of the way and do some folding. I'm going to start first with the long edges. Okay. How my envelope is going to be scored. And before I can fold the top, I can actually go ahead and fold this, but what I'm going to need to do is to cut some away. So I need to cut out the corners. Cut away each of these corners to leave a flap to fold up from the bottom. And then a flap to fold down from the top. Alright. So then I'll have a flap down here to fold. I'm going to have to trim this just a little bit more. If your paper is real heavy, you may have to do a little bit extra trimming to get everything to fold. When you do this with thinner paper, you don't have to do that as much. Okay. Alright, and then up here at the top, I'll fold the top down. And I'm going to trim a little bit off here, but I'm also going to do something else to this edge. What I want to do with this edge is I want to cut a slit so it'll be easy to pull the item out of the envelope. See, when I get everything glued together, my item will easily fit into the envelope, but it's a little bit hard for the recipient to take it out. So I'm going to take a circle punch, and I'm doing the 1.5 inch circle punch. You could do one a little bit larger than this if you wanted. And that creates like a little keyhole to make it easy for them to see what's in there and pull that out. And on the bottom and the top edges, I'm going to do a little bit of rounding to kind of clean this up so I don't have all these sharp corners. I'll use the 1/4 inch corner rounder on the bottom. Okay. And then on the top, I'll use the half inch. Okay. So all I need to do to finish up my envelope is to glue this edge down, then glue this over, and then I have an envelope that'll be easy to close up. So it's like kind of like a little money envelope from the bank. And my card will fit right inside of it. Before I closed it up, it was an excellent time to do some stamping if I want to stamp it, and then I don't have all those edges to kind of interfere with my stamp like we do on traditional envelopes. It's one of the advantages to making your own envelope. You can do all kinds of neat things with it. In fact, you can stamp a design that goes over the whole thing before you start folding. So there's a lot of advantages to doing your own envelope besides just getting the size and the paper that you want to have. Anyway, that's one way to use the Martha Stewart scoreboard or any type of scoring device to create your own envelope. Thanks for joining me today, and see my blog for more details.